Well, that was the craziest thing. So I was trying to use my OBS, and I think I'm gonna have to update OBS because the software in the 2 months that I've been away has gotten out of date. So I'm gonna have to require an update and a reboot. I didn't want to do all that because I've got entirely too much things to be working on right now, and I wanted to get this Monday morning chat out of the way. I'm already like 15 minutes late. Sorry about that. If anybody was trying to tune in, my name is Road Recovery, and I make this channel for the purposes of just trying to instill positive behavior inside of the porn addiction recovery process, and also being able to answer questions and provide a sense of community and support. So, if you need any support, feel free to ask me. I am willing to give it. I also want to provide community for other people. So, if you meet like friends on either my Twitter handle, on my community board, on YouTube, or anywhere else that you have the courage and support to, be able to talk to people that are in a like state of mind. Recovery mind is a process. It's something that takes a lot of courage to go into. It's something that requires a lot of support, and that's what I'm trying to facilitate. So if you get the opportunity, please like, share, subscribe, and join the recovery effort. I in no way make any money from anything that I do here. It is all free. It is part of my 12th step, giving back to others. A couple things I wanted to talk about. I just had a very challenging summer. My father passed away. I had to go down to take care of him for a while before he passed because he was getting too difficult for my mom to be able to manage. So I ended up going down there and taking care of him. And I had an interesting situation while I was down there, and I wanted to talk about that because you think that triggers go away easily, right? You might have heard the standard 60 to 90 days, and that gets you out of triggerhood. And in general, I would say if like you got into your addiction within the last few years and you've been trying to fight it off, might be the case. Let me give you the classic scenario of a young teenage boy who started off in this porn addiction, who had gone into his father's office, knew exactly where the porn mags were, and went to go looking at them all the time. Right. Anytime he was out, I would sneak into the office. Fast forward to after his demise, that I am a middle-aged man going into that office and discovering that I was immediately triggered by looking in his closet. Like, my brain wanted to go looking for the stack of porn that he used to keep on side of his drawers, and I wanted to do it. Like, I could feel like the urge to do it. And I'm sitting there, now that I'm embracing my mindfulness and recovery, I'm sitting there like, wow, this is really happening. This is actually something that seized a hold of me. And I sat there and I let the urge pass. But it was powerful, man. Like, it was really there. Like, my brain seized onto it and I wanted to do those things. So, I was able to let it pass. There was nothing to look at anyway. There was literally nothing in the closet because I had to clear it out and help my mom out. But it was just bizarre. Like, the memories were there, the urges were there, the cravings were there. 25 years. So, don't think that those cravings go away automatically. I think what we do inside of recovery is that we give ourselves the space to be able to say, oh, okay, I'm being triggered now. What do I do? Like, you're giving yourself the capability of still holding on to the steering wheel and making sure that you're driving the ship and not the addiction. But yeah, that happened, man. Like, and it was a very powerful urge. A couple of other things I wanted to talk about this morning. I'm going to try to get back into the wheelhouse, so to speak. I'm slowly but surely building my way back in so we can start doing live chats. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to actually start adding more to this. I was thinking about adding more days, so it's not just going to be a Monday, and I'm going to try to mix up more times. So I'll still keep the Monday morning chat here. If you want to talk about your addiction, chat's down below. You can ask questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to do, and provide commentary or just talk about how your addiction recovery is going. Um, That's all open. You can do that right now. If no one chats, I'm going to talk about the things that I want to talk about. I will try to open up more days where other people can come on and talk about that. I will announce those once I try to figure out what my schedule is going to be looking like, and allow you the opportunity to come on. I want to start building more community support. So, people who are out there who want to start talking, not just about what I'm talking about, but talk about your own recovery process. You're more than willing to jump on in. I want to give you the opportunity. I also want to use this moment to bring up that I'm looking for another interviewee. So I will, I'll type in the chat the email address if you'd like to be considered for being a subject of my interview. Again, I do not make money in any of this. This is all giving back to the community. If you volunteer to be interviewed, I promise anonymity. You can go see Kurt's interview, how I protected his anonymity. I'll protect your anonymity any way that you choose to. And what we would do is we would just open up an interview. You get to talk about your recovery process. The only thing I ask about the interviewees that I'm doing is give me at least, I want you to have had 6 months in recovery, right? So if you have 6 months in recovery and you want to come in and talk about your recovery process, I'll drop the email down below. You can also DM me on Twitter and we'll make it happen. All right. Real quick, I wanted to. Your Brain on Porn posted it's an article, and I had read this one before. This one was published in 2013, and it says sexual development, ADHD, and internet pornography consumption. And the study says development of sexual identity during adolescence is a major process in a transition in individual life, which in cases of ADHD specifically interacts with other ontogenic, pathological, and physiological conditions. Say that 5 times fast. According to recent findings, growing in consumption of internet pornography, mainly is male ADHD population, is closely related to compulsive sexual behavior and hypersexuality. Recent findings also indicate that the consumption of internet pornography in ADHD individuals and other sexual activities may serve as a mood altering self medication, which may help to cope with stressful events and decrease depression and anxiety. Boom. That right there in this study is exactly the sort of study I've been wanting to see. And the reason why it locks it in is because this is everything. This is like everything that I was doing. I couldn't cope with anxiety. I couldn't cope with depression. I likely had ADHD, not only in adulthood, but probably even into it was undiagnosed all the way through my adolescence. So all these things that I was personally dealing with, this article that was republished by Your Brain on Porn, uh, it locks in precisely the sort of thing the scope that I was looking for in the study. I'll continue reading. Taken together, recent findings indicate that the internet pornography consumption, mainly in ADHD individuals, is closely related to stressful experiences, anxiety, depression, and identity problems in partnerships, which significantly increase their vulnerability to so called problematic pornography use and other forms of active sexual behavior. From this development perspective, problematic pornography use in ADHD individuals represents significant epidemiological problems which require further research, mainly with focus on clinical diagnostics and treatment. So basically, they need to start having more studies around this. I'll go ahead and post this inside of the comments if you guys want to follow it up. And I'm also going to put my email address if anybody wants to reach out to me, especially if you want to do an interview. I don't know why I did that. Yeah. Um, so just copy and paste that whole email address, and that'll get you to me. All right. What else do we have? Oh, I wanted to go over this article from Politico, and I apologize if I had OBS running right now. I'd share this article so you could read the screen with me. I'll just have to read it for now. A simple law is doing the impossible. It's making online porn industry retreat. Pornhub has pulled out of multiple states rather than comply with age verification laws. In June 15th, 2022, a freshman legislator at the Louisiana's House of Representatives accomplished something that no lawmaker or activist in the country could claim. She passed a law that is changing online porn industry. If you think this is a result from a bitter culture war, think again. Pornography is creating a public health crisis and having a corroding influence on minors, asserts the bill. State Representative Lori is it Schleger introduced. Almost no one in the Capitol in Baton Rouge disputes the statement. The bill sailed through the Louisiana House 96 to 1 and the state Senate 34 to 0. That actually surprises me. The fact that they had no resistance at all on this. I mean, every single state legislator and state congressperson signed off on this, right? So before I read any more, the battle that's happening here is that usually you would have the more libertine members, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, resisting this because they see it as a detriment to free speech. Now, I'm not here. You know, my purpose here is not to get into that level of politics or even claim like what is free speech and what isn't free speech. But I can tell you that the defenders of the porn industry, they're leaning on this more libertine aspect and trying to reach out to those people who um, are congressmen or state senators who are also libertine as well. And so they're trying to dig their hooks into this to see that everybody in their House and Congress didn't resist this bill. They all immediately signed on to you onto it. This is the reflection of a turning point. Now I know that politically that Louisiana is a lot more conservative than the rest of the country, but still, even within conservative ranks, you've got libertine conservative people that are out there that are probably going to sign on to the porn industry. There was nothing here. Um, as we start to see these dominoes starting to fall, I think you're going to witness that you know the 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 cohesion that used to exist, say even 15, 20 years ago against the porn industry. Like it's a different cast, it's a different crew, it's a different generation of people that are locked in, and I think they see this pornography situation as a health crisis. They really do, and they're not treating it as what it used to be, the Larry Flint years, where it was treated as a First Amendment issue where you were protecting freedom. I don't think it's being looked at in the same vein anymore, and you're starting to see a lot more political cohesion, regardless of what side of the political aisle you're on. There's a lot more cohesion around this, and it's causing like these landslides in some of these states. And it's going to be interesting to see as more and more bills start getting passed. And predominantly we've seen it in, I would label them as more conservative states. But I think you're going to be surprised here in a little while. I think you're going to start to see some more what I would consider to be like more liberal legislatures starting to find common ground on some of these. And you're starting to hear common talking points as this article points out. The bill holds pornography websites liable unless the websites perform reasonable age verification methods, in short, requiring users to show government ID to prove they are 18 or older. Democrat Governor John Bell Edwards, no fan of the legislature's Republican supermajority, signed the bill about a week after it arrived on his desk. 1 week, there was no holding back. There was no bargaining. In 1 week, you're not bargaining for anything. Like, the governor at that point has the opportunity to be able to push back and say, I'll sign the bill if you include this, this, and this. And so that's usually, there's usually about a month or so of like, bargaining and sometimes even going back to the legislature and modifying the bill and then sending it back. This isn't a line item thing. He signed that thing right away. So you have a Democratic governor signing off on what the Republican legislator gave him. Look out for this, man. I think you're going to start to see more of this sort of thing going on. And by the way, and just so you know, I kind of have a problem with some of these, and I my problem is that um, there's a security risk that's happening here as a result of all of this, and this goes beyond the pornography. It's just like, the government's forcing the public to have to use a independent service to basically, if you go down to the liquor store and you want to buy something, and in order for the store to respect the law, they ask for ID, right? When that person behind the counter looks your ID, they're not taking a picture of the ID, right? They're looking at the ID to verify, and then they allow you to purchase the alcohol or cigarettes, whatever the thing happens to be. With the pornography, what they're asking for here is that you are going to be uploading. It's not just simple verification; it's being stored in a database. I don't like that. I personally don't like that, and I am all in favor of trying to put a system in place that's going to help people out. Help keep kids away from pornography, like I had access to thanks to Dad. Um, but putting a system in place that's doing data collection and data warehousing for all of these public IDs so that you can get access to your device. Yeah, there's just something inherently that seems wrong about that, and I wish it would manifest in a different way. But there is a bright side to all this, that the as is going to be revealed later on in this article, the number of people looking at pornography is vastly going down because people don't want to participate in a system that's like that. It's like, no, thank you. I don't want to look at porn. I am not giving you my ID. Further down in this article, I'm gonna skip through parts of this. Unlike past efforts to curb online porn that has simply declared the site's danger to public health, these laws are not symbolic. They are having real effects on how massive online porn industry does business. Pornhub, the YouTube of pornography, gets more global users than Amazon or Netflix. In 2019, the last year Pornhub released its data, the site was visited by 42 billion times, or 115 million times each day. 115 million views each day. That's insane. I mean, think about that. Put that in some sort of perspective. They say that it's bigger than Netflix or Amazon. I can't think of any website that has that sort of traffic. What? Let's see what traffic Google as a general. Let's see. Hang on. I've had that question. Google gets 228 million searches per hour. That's pretty impressive, or 5.6 billion searches per day. So it's nowhere near those numbers, but damn, Google, that's impressive. That's why Google's number one in the business, man. That is insane to think about how much they actually get site visits. It's good to be the king, I guess. Um, so it says here lawsuits have been filed by the Porn Industries Association, the Free Speech Coalition against Utah and Louisiana. So the Free Speech Coalition is think of them as the lobbying effort for the porn industries, despite what their name says, free speech, right? So, the free speech to produce porn. And so this is the lobbying effort that's kind of being completely funded by the porn industry, and they're fighting it in all states now. It reminds me of something else recently, actually, that there was another um, movement that was going through called the Right to Repair a few years ago. And the Right to Repair had a very similar pushback from industry heavyweights that was trying to fight all this. So this is exactly what you're seeing. Like all these industry heavyweights are now trying to lean into it. Yeah, one more part of this, I'll keep on skipping down, and I'll post this link inside of the comments if you guys want to read it. These bills don't originate from the evangelical pack or conservative think tanks. Their origin was originally, and ironically, at the Howard Stern show. In December of 2021, uh, Shuggle was on her daily news scroll through Apple News when she saw an article describing pop star Billie Eilish's appearance on the infamous Shock Jock. Irish told Stern, "I used to watch a lot of porn, to be honest. I watched I started watching porn when I was like 11. I think it really destroyed my brain. And I feel incredibly devastated that I was exposed to so much porn. And so, by her reading that, that's the impact that it had on this legislature, who in turn, was able to assemble the political capital to be able to back the bill. And I'll post this article down here so you guys can read it. All right. Um, so yeah, it goes into a lot of detail about how this article and how this the Howard Stern interview with Billie Eilish actually spawned a kind of like a movement inside the political legislature to get through this, and having a lot of the political capital to be able to back all that really push the bill through, and it's pushing the bills through, similar bills through in other states as well. Um, so anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about. We're going to make this very brief, but I promise we're going to get this show back on the road, and I'm going to allow you guys to be able to come on, be able to talk to me, and participate in my live streams as I do it. Um, one last thing before I sign off. My sponsor in Porn Addicts Anonymous had a near death experience recently, and I was there. I was there when it happened. Um, he was climbing a rock. We were whitewater rafting, and he was climbing a rock, and he jumped off of the rock. And unfortunately, his jumping off did not impact the water, but ended impacting rocks. And so it was about 25 feet high, the rock, and he survived it. He didn't have any compound fractures. He had a lot of bruising, but um, sometimes miracles. I'm not trying to be preachy. I wouldn't describe myself as a very religious person at all. But when you see a miracle firsthand, and you recognize that for what it is, that this dude defied about a bajillion odds of breaking something because he's a big guy. He fell 25 feet and got up without a broken bone. Got lots of cuts, got lots of bruises, but no broken bones, no major injuries to speak of. He later on got taken in for an MRI, and he had a very small fracture in his spine, but not a break. He just a tiny something that's going to heal up very quickly, and he had a small fracture in one of the bones of his wrist, but again, no compound fractures at all at a drop of 25 feet. you know, I I told him that it's like, I don't know how else to describe what I just witnessed. That was a freaking miracle, man. That was insane. And if somebody is out there watching over him, I don't know if there is a higher power or whatever, but some by some miracle, man, he survived that fall and got up and lived to talk about it. And I've been reflecting on that because that guy puts in so much time in his life helping other people like me. Like I wouldn't be where I am right now if it was not for that guy's influence on my life. And I kind of want to say that there's some sort of karma out there in the universe that is going to help a dude out there like that to just come pick him up when he's at his lowest. Um, and he's had some low points in his life. I have had low points in my life. I had a miracle that I talk about all the time where day before of my arrest, um, I was listening to my podcast. I used to listen to this podcast all the time when I was going into work, and I was listening to this podcast, and the podcast got interrupted because of a hurricane, and he switched it over, and it was an interview by a lawyer, and he was talking about the why you never want to talk to the police. I had never been arrested in my entire life. Couldn't tell you anything about what that was like until that the next day when that had happened to me, and that podcast had unintentionally armed me with all the legal knowledge I needed to know about what was about to happen to me. You can't make that up, man. That's insane. Those are insane odds. Kind of as insane as falling from a 25-foot rock and walking away from it. Man, all I can say is that, when something like that happens to you, when something just outright miraculous happens to you, just stop and like take it in and just kind of admire not just the insanity that just happened, but taking it all in, like, how lucky am I? How lucky am I to be still living and breathing, and I still have the opportunity to do lots of good things in my life. And I'll use this last few minutes to make it a meditation that, what good things can you look at in your life and say, thank God, man. Bad shit, a lot of bad shit's happened to me, but thank God I've still got the opportunity to turn things around. Thank God I've still got, people in my life who are willing to listen and help me out, accepting those little positive attributes in your life and really taking that in for everything that it means and for what it's worth. There's somebody out there to help you, that you are still capable of turning things around in your own life and doing something about it. We all got our slings and arrows, man, but what can you do to elevate and raise yourself? Maybe next time around, the slings and arrows don't feel so harsh. And all the things that we do here in recovery are meant to help you out, to help make you a better person, to make you more resilient to the types of things that can come kick your ass in life. I'm not perfect, but recovery has helped me out, man. I wouldn't know where I would be had I not participated in all of this. It's made me more solid. It's made me capable of not being able to be tipped over in the heavy waves of life. My boat is nice and steady. And even when things start rocking around, I know I'm going to get past it because I've trained myself to know what to do next. And hopefully, recovery is giving you that. And if it's not, keep sticking around because I'm going to help you with that process. Promise. This is Road to Recovery. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can either DM me on my Twitter. I guess we're going to call it X now, but on my Twitter feed. Or you can send me an email at roadtorecovery11 at yahoo.com, which is down in the comments below. Take care and stay on that road to recovery.